Somewhere inside Lisa's Bad Angel video, there's a name almost nobody stops to question. Her character is called Beatrix. And if that name feels oddly familiar, here's why. 700 years ago, a poet named Dante wrote about a woman named Beatrice, the one who guides him out of hell and into paradise. Coincidence? Maybe. But stay with me, because by the end of this video, we're going to connect that name to the ruins she walks through, the wings that appear out of nowhere, and a live performance 3 weeks later that almost didn't happen at all. And I promise, there's a detail buried in this story that most breakdowns online haven't put together yet. This isn't just a song with a cool video. It's a character, a digital afterlife, and a live show that turned into something bigger than anyone planned. Let's get into it. Quick context, for anyone who isn't deep in the K-pop world or the EDM world, because this video sits right at the crossroads of both. On April 8, 2026, Italian producer Anyma, real name Matteo Milleri, released a track called Bad Angel featuring Blackpink's Lisa through Interscope Records. It's a fast, moody techno-pop record, built almost entirely around themes of independence and self-rule, a character who answers to nobody but herself. And Anyma isn't just some producer Lisa teamed up with for a random single. He's one of the most ambitious names in modern electronic music, the first electronic artist to hold a residency at the Sphere in Las Vegas, a guy who staged full productions at the Great Pyramids of Giza. His ongoing artistic universe is called Aeden, a digital afterlife where human consciousness and artificial intelligence are trying, messily, to coexist inside the same collapsed world. Bad Angel isn't a standalone single. It's a doorway into that universe. And Lisa isn't just a featured vocalist here. Inside this world, she's a character. So who exactly is Beatrix? That's where we start. Chapter 1. Who is Beatrix? The video opens on Lisa lying across a marble altar, wired into some kind of system surrounded by crumbling Greek and Roman-coded ruins. Slowly, she wakes up. She pulls herself free of the wires. A pair of white wings unfolds from her back, and she starts walking through broken columns, through a landscape that looks like it's being rebuilt in real time around her. That's Beatrix. Not quite human. Not quite machine. Not quite angel, either. Officially, she's described as a glitch inside this digital universe, something the system never accounted for, moving through the wreckage and somehow getting stronger the further she walks. Even the costuming reinforces that in-between idea. She's dressed in cool, pale tones that read almost like marble or porcelain, the same material as the ruins around her, while everything else in the frame is scorched, cracked, or half-collapsed. Visually, she and the world she's walking through are made of the same substance. She's not an outsider arriving to save this place. She looks like she was built from it. Here's what pushes this past cool visuals territory, though. Beatrix doesn't exist in isolation. She lives inside Aeden, Anyma's larger project, which he's described in interviews as a world where humans and AI are trying to build a new kind of society out of what's left of the old one. Ancient statuary with metal vertebrae running down the spine. Temples rebuilt out of stone and steel girders. Classical monsters like Medusa, reanimated with a cybernetic twist. It's part Roman ruin, part server room, and every image is doing double duty. And notice the framing again. She wakes up in ruins. She grows wings. She's called an angel, but the song is titled Bad Angel. Not fallen. Not exactly good, either. Something in between, making her own rules as she goes. If that already sounds like it's building towards something bigger than aesthetics, you're right. And we still haven't touched the detail hiding in her name. That detail is coming. But first, we need to slow the footage down frame by frame, because almost nothing in this video is there by accident. Chapter 2. Visual symbolism. 4 images carry most of the weight in this video. The altar, the wires, the ruins, and the glitch. Let's take them one at a time. Start with the altar. An altar is where something gets sacrificed, or where something gets made sacred. Beatrix isn't lying on one as an offering. She's lying on one as the thing about to be reborn. That's not a random set choice. Nearly every rebirth story in mythology starts the same way, the character flat on their back, unconscious before they rise. Then, the wires. She's plugged in, monitored, powered, controlled by something outside herself. The entire opening beat of the video is her act of disconnecting from that. In a universe built around the tension between humans and AI, wires aren't just sci-fi set dressing. They're a stand-in for control itself. Who's actually in charge here, the system or the being wired into it? Pulling free is Beatrix's very first act of autonomy, before a single lyric even lands. Now the ruins. This is where it gets more specific. because in Anyma's larger Aeden world, these aren't generic ruins. They're deliberately classical Greco-Roman architecture fused with cybernetic imagery, old-world stones standing next to steel and neon wiring, statues reanimated with metal running down their spines like exposed nerve fiber. It's the visual thesis of the entire project in one frame, the ancient past and the digital future occupying the same collapsed space, with something new getting built out of the wreckage of both. Notice, too, that the ruins aren't staying broken. In the background of several shots, pillars and structures are visibly reassembling themselves, as if the whole environment is rebooting in real time around her. And finally, the glitch. Beatrix is officially framed as a glitch inside this digital system, an error, something that wasn't supposed to exist. But instead of getting patched out, she gets stronger. Sit with that phrasing for a second. In most stories about AI systems malfunctioning, the glitch is the threat, the thing that needs fixing. Here, the glitch is the hero. The one thing the system didn't plan for is the thing that ends up breaking free of it. Now, that open loop from the very start of this video, the name. Here's the detail that ties this entire chapter together. And honestly, it's the reason this analysis exists at all. In Dante's Divine Comedy, the poem this whole framework keeps echoing, whether intentionally or not, the figure who guides the poet through paradise after he's already survived hell and purgatory is a woman named Beatrice. To be clear, nobody involved with Bad Angel has gone on record and said, yes, we named her after Dante's Beatrice. That connection has never been confirmed. But look at what we do know for a fact. Anyma has described his Aeden universe in press interviews as populated by heaven, hell, and purgatory-coded imagery. The character here is a being who moves between digital heaven and hell, essentially guiding herself out of the wreckage. And her name sits one letter away from literature's most famous afterlife guide. That might be coincidence. It might not be. Either way, once you notice it, it's genuinely hard to unsee. There's a second detail worth mentioning here too, because it's almost too fitting. Anyma has said in interviews that he leaned on Google's Gemini AI as a creative tool while designing the Aeden visuals, using it to iterate through concepts before his human collaborators built the final show. A production about humans and machines learning to coexist was, in part, actually built using that exact kind of collaboration. Make of that what you will. But the visuals only tell half of this story. The other half happened live, on a stage, weeks later, and it almost didn't happen at all. Chapter 3. Coachella. So that's the video, but Bad Angel didn't stay a music video for long. 3 weeks later, Beatrix left the screen entirely. And here's something a lot of casual viewers never actually connected to the full story. Anyma was originally scheduled to bring the complete Aeden production to Coachella's main stage during the festival's first weekend. It didn't happen the way it was planned. Strong desert winds forced organizers to scrap the elaborate stage setup for safety reasons. Instead of the full cinematic show, Anyma ended up doing something far scrappier. An impromptu back-to-back set with fellow producer Marlon Hofstadt at Coachella's Do LAB stage. Lisa showed up for that one too, low-key, with no massive production behind her, and performed Bad Angel in a stripped-down form that most people outside the festival grounds never even saw. So, heading into the festival's second weekend, there was unfinished business. That's when the real version of this story played out. On the main stage, at midnight, the complete Aeden show finally launched, with towering digital structures, hyper-real projected visuals, and the same ancient ruins meets machine aesthetic from the music video, scaled up to festival size. Partway through the set, Lisa walked out. This was the first time Bad Angel was performed as part of the complete, large-scale Aeden production. It wasn't a backup set, but the full show it was actually designed for. And behind Lisa, the stage did something the music video could only hint at. A massive AI-generated holographic double of her appeared above the real one, moving in sync with her live performance in real time. Beatrix wasn't just a character in a video anymore. She was standing next to her own digital counterpart, in front of a packed festival crowd, at the same time. She wasn't the only guest that night either. The same set also brought out other artists throughout its runtime, part of a broader pattern at Coachella that weekend of headliners pulling out surprise collaborators. But the Bad Angel moment was the one built entirely around a pre-existing story, a music video's worth of world building, suddenly made physical in front of tens of thousands of people at once. For Lisa, this moment slotted into a much longer relationship with this exact stage. It marked her fourth trip to Coachella, after debuting there with Blackpink in 2019, returning with the full group again in 2023, then headlining her own solo set in 2025, built around her alter ego persona universe. which means Beatrix isn't only connected to Anyma Aeden world. She's also connected to a persona system Lisa had already spent years building for herself. And that overlap between Anyma's digital afterlife and Lisa's own alter ego mythology is exactly where the interpretations start splitting in different directions. Chapter 4. Fan Theories. We've covered what happens on screen and what happened live on stage. Now let's get into what it actually means, because this is where the video stops being straightforward. Nobody involved with Bad Angel has laid out an official line-by-line explanation of what Beatrix is supposed to represent. So instead of pretending there's one correct reading, let's walk through the theories that have actually been circulating, because a few of them genuinely hold up. Theory 1. Technology versus humanity. Under this reading, Beatrix is the tension at the center of Anyma's entire Aeden project made literal. A human consciousness trying to survive inside a digital system that was never built with a self in mind. The altar, the wires, the glitch label, all of it reads as a body caught between flesh and code, and the video becomes a question about whether that body can actually win. Supporters of this theory point to Anyma's own description of Aeden as a place where humans and AI are trying to create a new society, which frames Beatrix less as a single character and more as a stand-in for that entire negotiation. Theory 2. Autonomy versus control. This one leans harder into the song itself, which is built almost entirely around independence and self-rule. Under this reading, the wires aren't really about artificial intelligence at all. They're a stand-in for anything that tries to control a person, industry expectations, other people's plans, or anyone deciding who you're supposed to be. Breaking free of the wires becomes Beatrix's version of drawing a line in the sand. Some viewers have taken this even further, reading it as a broader statement about creative ownership, an artist stepping into a producer's fictional universe and, within that universe, playing a character defined entirely by breaking free of external control. Whether that's intentional layering or just a coincidence of timing is impossible to say for certain. Theory 3. Reinvention and rebirth. This is the simplest reading, and maybe the most classic one. An altar, a waking up, wings appearing from nowhere. Death and rebirth imagery is one of the oldest patterns in storytelling, full stop, and Beatrix emerging stronger through the ruins fits that pattern almost exactly. Theory 4. A commentary on fame and digital identity. This is the one that gets a little more meta. Lisa is one of the most watched performers on the planet, and a huge share of that fame now exists purely as digital content, clips, edits, and an audience that experiences her primarily as an image on a screen rather than a person in a room. Under this theory, Beatrix, an android double and a projected hologram standing beside her real self, isn't really about Aeden's fiction at all. It's about what it feels like to become a digital object that other people copy, remix, and reshape without your input. If that theory sounds like a stretch, remember what actually happened at Coachella. The show put Lisa next to an AI-generated version of herself on the same stage in real time. The metaphor stopped being a metaphor. None of these 4 theories cancel each other out. That's arguably the point. This song and video were clearly built with enough ambiguity that multiple readings can be true at once. And that same ambiguity connects to something much bigger than this one collaboration. Chapter 5. The bigger picture. 4 theories, 0 confirmed answers. So let's zoom out one more level, because Beatrix makes a lot more sense once you see where she fits in Lisa's career overall. Here's the thing about Beatrix. She didn't come out of nowhere. Lisa has spent the last couple of years building an entire mythology around the idea of alternate selves. Her 2025 debut solo album was literally titled Alter Ego, built around 5 distinct personas: Roxy, Kiki, Vixie, Sunny, and Speedy. Each represents a different facet of her public identity, from confident and rebellious to soft and vulnerable. When she brought that album to Coachella's Sahara stage for her solo debut, she staged the whole set almost like a multi-act play, shifting between characters in real time. So when Beatrix shows up a year later, in someone else's universe entirely, in a completely different genre, on a different stage, it doesn't really play like a one-off feature. It plays like an extension of a system Lisa had already been building for herself. One more alter ego, this time filtered through Anyma's aesthetic instead of her own. There's one more detail worth sitting with here. Anyma has said publicly that Lisa was his muse for this track, describing the song's origin as coming from something almost disarmingly small, seeing a graphic t-shirt printed with her image on it. As Anyma put it in a statement around the song's release, this record lives between worlds, human and digital, intimate and infinite. A global pop icon, reduced to a printed image on fabric, sparking a song about an android breaking free of the systems trying to control her. Whether that connection was intentional or not, it's hard to miss once you know it's there. There's also a genre crossover angle worth naming here. Lisa didn't just borrow a producer for a feature. She stepped fully into the aesthetic of European melodic techno, a scene that has almost nothing to do with mainstream K-pop, and let that scene define her character for an entire era, complete with a fictional universe she didn't create herself. That's a different kind of risk than putting out another pop single. It only works if the character actually holds up as her own, and going by the reaction to both the video and the Coachella set, it did. Between the alter ego universe and the Aeden universe, Lisa isn't just releasing songs anymore. She's building a public image out of characters. And right now, Beatrix might be the clearest, strangest example yet of how deliberately she's doing it. So, is Beatrix a meditation on AI and humanity? A statement about creative control? A rebirth story? A comment on what fame does to a person's image? Based on everything that's actually been confirmed, the honest answer is probably all of it, on purpose, at the same time. Nobody involved has closed the door on a single one of these readings, and that's very likely the whole design. The ambiguity isn't a flaw here. It's the point. So, what do you think that name is really doing in this story? Coincidence or on purpose? Drop your theory in the comments below, because I genuinely want to see where you land on this one. And if you want to go deeper into the alter ego universe this whole video keeps circling back to, the 5 personas, the Sahara stage set, all of it, that's a full video on its own. And it's coming soon. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.